Hi everyone, I hope everyone's well. This evening I am playing The American Civil War by Worthington. This is the first bull run, it's the first scenario in the scenario book. It is it's quite it's a very light war game. It's a great introductory war game. Um, I've got it set up, although I just realised I just need to double check how many artillery pieces are. I think it's two, but I will double check that. Um, and it looks, if you're not familiar with the game series, I've got the War of Revolution, American Revolution game in this series, and I've got the French Indian expansion. It at first glance it looks a bit like a Command and Colours game because your units are represented by stickered blocks. I've laid them down just for the camera. They are double sided, so there's no fog of war in a block game sense, and it's not a block game, albeit you're playing a game with wooden blocks. It's not a block game. But at first glance, it does look a bit like Commands and Colours, but it's not Commands and Colours. It's not card driven like Commands and Colours. There's no sense of the three, parts: centre, left, and right flank. Instead, with this game series, it's action point driven. So you have each side has a number of action points. It's quite asymmetrical, I think, how many action points each side gets, and you spend action points in moving and fighting and so forth. So it plays very different than Commands and Colours. I really enjoyed the War of the American Revolution game in the series, so I'm looking forward to getting into this. Tonight I'm playing it solo, really because I want to play a few games solo and get all the rules down completely. It is very light, so no difficulty there. And then I will play it with my kids, and it's part of my, at the minute, sort of helping them understand a bit about the American Civil War. So, all set up. First bull run. It is quite a few number of turns. Victory points. The Union can capture these points here and get victory points. There are some Confederate reinforcements coming onto the game later. And victory points are a bit like Command and Colours. Victory points are achieved by completely destroying a unit, as it were. So, quite a few number of turns. What I'll probably do is play through the game, and I'll stop at sort of pivotal points and just talk about how the game is working out and how I'm finding it. So, after the first couple of turns, the Union have got themselves into a position at the top here. They've laid down some artillery fire and reduced the effectiveness of that unit there. The Confederates, though, have returned quite a lot of musketry fire and have inflicted severe casualties on this unit here in this hex, and also this side of the river as well, both artillery and musketry against these units here. The one thing I would say, even after the first couple of turns, the action point system is quite interesting in that you don't, even with all these units on here, for example, the last turn, they had 5 or 6 action points each to move I call a unit, the number of blocks to move cost 1 point, to do fire cost 1 point. So you don't have enough action points to move everything. So the game's got even though it's quite a few number of turns, a turn can take literally 5 or 10 minutes. The other thing that's interesting as well is that the number of dice that you roll is constant depending on the range, but the numbers you need to get. So, for example, if there's infantry here, these two here, because they're next to each other, they're only 1 hex away. If they were firing, not doing close combat, if they were firing, they would only need to get a 5 or a 6 on 3 die. They would roll 3 dice and need a 5 or 6 to inflict any casualties on this unit here, if the Confederates were firing on the Union there, for example. The next turn, I'll be doing some close combat. The Union plan is to get into close combat with these Confederates, and we'll see how that works out. So I've just done turn number 3, and that had some close combat, so I just wanted to talk about that for a second. The way that close combat works, and I am using some additional optional rules that are in the rulebook. So this for example, this Union unit here wanted to close combat against these Confederates. they had to take a morale test, and they failed. How they take a morale test is you roll a dice, you get coloured dice, and these have a morale of black, which is pretty good. But they failed that. They rolled the dice and they actually got a black side, which means they fail. So they were unable to engage in close combat. They could still give musketry, which they did and inflicted casualty. This side of the board, though, there were some Union on this hill here, and the Union charged up the hill, passed their morale test, inflicted casualties. As a result of those casualties, this unit here, and they were green, so they were of a lower morale quality. So black is better than green, and gold is better than black. There is gold. There's a gold unit over there. They failed their morale, even though it was upgraded to black because they were on the hill. So they retreated into the open here, and then the artillery finished them off. So I did, for a low complexity game, which this is, I instantly really like the way that the morale system is tied into the close combat system. And like I said, I'm using that additional rule of having to test for morale to see if the unit that you're ordering into close combat will actually fulfill that. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And the rest of the term, the Union, somewhat dismayed by this, although it gave quite a bit of fire, were pretty ineffective, and no real further casualties were caused on the Union. So the Union are at 1 victory point, Confederates at 0. The Confederates need to hold on. They've got a few more turns to get through before their significant reinforcements enter the board on this, down here on this side of the board. So they need to hold on. Confederates need to make good on their initial progress. So the Union need to make good on their initial progress and push. They've got quite a few units in good positions here, but a lot of units over here not really doing anything. So we may be spending some action points on bringing these units into the battle. Just completed turn number 5, and a really eventful turn. Let's start with the Union. So the Union were able to inflict significant casualties on this unit here and have defeated it. I've stood this up to remind me, so they get a victory point for that. On this side here, they were able to inflict massive casualties, and due to some unlucky die rolling, depends which way you look at it, from the Confederates' point of view, they have lost their general. So taken a massive blow there. Now there is another general that will be joining the battle if we get to turn 8. That will be General Johnson, I believe, from memory, on this battle. So all is not lost, but it's a significant blow. The Confederates also caused significant losses. So they have defeated, enraged in losing their general, they laid musketry down, defeated this unit, defeated this unit, who were gallantly trying to cross the bridge, got near to the Confederate line, and then just took significant losses, especially from these cannon, these artillery, which I'm imagining sort of canister sort of fire, and on this unit on this side of the river as well. So at the moment, the standing is 3 victory points per side. So even Stevens, it's just going to be whether the Confederates can hold on to that turn to get those reinforcements, and then how the Union react to that. There is a victory condition that the Union will if they get 6 victory points by turn 18, and we're only on turn 5, and they're halfway there. So yeah, play to play for. We're now at the end of turn number 7. So next turn we've got some Confederate reinforcements. I will look at just need to double check that, but I believe so. The Confederates have been able to defeat this unit here, so there's a victory point there. The Union, however, whilst not getting any victory points yet, have really been able to move their units into this side of the battle. The unit here at the house are looking vulnerable. These artillery units in the hex adjacent, and this unit here, who are sort of with a gold morale, are looking to sort of engage into close combat. these Confederates will be defending that furiously. This side of the board, I think you can just see the Union have made more advances across this stone bridge. Actually, the Union on this side have just taken horrific losses as they're trying to get across this bridge here. Just really suffered at the hands of all these Confederates here. So technically, in terms of victory points, the Confederates are 1 victory point ahead. But I could see how the Union could equal that out. It all depends on what happens with these reinforcements. So at the end of turn 8, the game is a victory to the Confederates. It was very close. Actually, it became the fight for this house here. And the upshot is that the Union tried to assault, failed their morale test. They passed their morale test on for a close combat, but were unable to dislodge them. The Union here were able to, even though they took some losses, the Confederates here, even though they took some losses, were able just to hold on to that stone house and repel that attack and lay down some musketry at the cannon here, the artillery cannon, and defeat them, gaining the last victory point they needed to win the battle. I can imagine the Union seeing on the horizon these massive formations of foot and horse coming into the battlefield, plus taking the significant losses in trying to take this stone house, plus significant losses on this side of the board trying to cross this river. Just gave it up and retreated. Very close fought battle. It could have gone either way, I feel. Key things for me playing through this solo. The game solos quite nicely because you're using those action points. You don't know how many action points you're going to get. You have quite tough decisions to make for both sides, and using the morale system for engaging in close combat I found lends itself very well to both the game and playing the game solo as well. What I'll be doing is I'll be doing a couple of these on this game just so I've got all the rules down before I'll play with my kids, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that dynamic works, playing sort of this game against someone else. But yes, I really enjoyed this. This didn't take long to play, probably an hour to play through and set up. Like I said, at first glance, it looks like Commands and Colours. It is not Commands and Colours. It is not, for those of you who remember the Battle Cry, the American Civil War game that used miniatures and Commands and Colours rules. It is not that. It's its own thing. I've really enjoyed playing this game through tonight. It is a light war game, but it has quite a few game mechanics that I really enjoy, and it looks great. The cubes are nice, the wooden blocks are nice. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Could have gone either way, and I like games that have that close, where you really feel that some of the decisions either side are quite pivotal, and some of the die rolling are quite pivotal. And then I'm imagining the battle through my mind's eye, through my imagination, especially this combat around this hill, the combat around the fighting around that house there. So yeah, really enjoyed that. I'd be certainly interested if other people. I don't see too many people talking about this game, which I think is it's a bit of a hidden gem when it comes to introductory level wargaming. So I'd be interested to hear any comments about if other people have played it, if they enjoy it, things they've learned from playing it, especially things they've learned from playing it either solo or playing against someone else. But yeah, that was really enjoyable wargaming evening, so I really enjoyed that. Thanks for watching as ever. Yeah, thank you.